Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast. I'm today with Ahti. He's a developer in Bali, but more than that, maybe you can introduce yourself today. Very excited to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks, Lo. Thanks for having me. I've been a real estate developer for almost 12 years now, but most of my career I've been doing it in Europe, in Estonia. That's where I'm from. So I was the founder and CEO of Avalon, residential real estate development company. But ever since the war started between Ukraine and Russia, it's been a bit tricky, especially in our region. Construction prices have gone up, purchasing power has gone down. Most of the construction materials used to come from Ukraine and Russia, so the
Okay.
supply was sort of limited, and that really kind of screwed up the market. And I had two options: whether to hibernate and wait for things to get better, or just to find a new battleground. And I started looking actually globally, like what to do, where to go, and the only kind of area in general which is still going up and going up rapidly is South and Southeast Asia, and particularly two regions, Indonesia and India. But I felt like India is a bit kind of exotic for me, and especially I already had friends here in Bali doing the same exact business, and since Bali is very kind of international, right? Everyone moves here, expats, everything. So I figured it would be like a safe place to start from, and man, I gotta say I was surprised.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed what is happening here.
Yeah.
We're looking at numbers, out of fairy tale books,
Yeah. It's very interesting what you say because we have a lot of clients on our side that also are moving from Europe, and especially like you mentioned after the war. But it's not only, I think, only in Estonia, because France, for example, is not really affected by the war in terms of real estate development. I was listening recently, there was numbers that were mentioning that's 25% among the bankruptcy company in France at the moment are people working as a developer or in the promotion of real estate, because the cost of the construction is increasing a lot, because the interest rates are also increasing, so it's more and more difficult for buyers to get loan and to be able to buy, and as well the ROI also on the properties is decreasing. So probably in France, I don't know, the construction is also probably connected with Ukraine, and I didn't know that it was coming. But when you came here, because you're mentioning, yeah, you were looking at India and you were looking at Bali, did you look at Dubai as well? Because and it's what is interesting. I mean, for people probably here is a lot of people also from US are moving, for example, to Dubai, or also are trying to look to move to places like Southeast Asia. Um, when you were looking at your where to go, did you come here because of friends, or because when you came here you say, okay, maybe this is the place that is going to pop up, and the market is just at the beginning of something new?
Yeah, well, obviously Dubai is very popular too,
Yeah.
and a lot of foreign capital is flowing into Dubai as well as Bali. But to start real estate development in Dubai is a bit tricky. The entry cost is ridiculously high, because you're not going to be doing like you know 1 million villas,
Yeah.
there. Here you can get started with a few 100,000 and test out the market
Yeah.
in terms of small development projects. In Dubai, well, there's not really a room for that sort of
Yeah.
testing.
Yeah.
If you go in there, you need to bring in a big checkbook.
Yeah, I think this is a very good point. When we talk with our clients as well, sometimes we have people who have capital but are scared by a market, where to how to enter the market, how to test the market. So usually they come, they want to start to buy maybe a piece of land and starting to develop to see how the market is going. And probably Dubai is a mature market where you already have international company and big developers coming, building towers or building a huge complex, etc. I think Bali has something that can be interesting for everybody is that it's a market where not mature yet. Well, I mean, on my point of view, because it's continuing to grow and to develop, and there is well, we will talk about that later, but still a lot of professionalism to have compared to other places. And Bali, I think, is attracting this kind of people that want to try also something and have the possibility to get a good capital gain or a good ROI behind in terms of rental or development of projects. Yeah. So, but when you came here, because when did you come in Bali?
Well, I came in the end of in the end of last year, but just as
Okay.
kind of like an expedition, just
Yeah.
to see what it's like. And well, yeah, I haven't actually gone back. So
When you arrive here, you don't want
yeah,
to live
no,
here.
no.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of perspective of development, you arrive here, you can, I think, you can feel the dynamic now compared to France or I don't know Estonia. I'm not a big expert of Estonia, but I guess there's a positive vibes and developments that you don't feel in.
Well, I mean, yeah, Estonia. Well, actually, I would imagine most of Europe is a very difficult place to do real estate development. So if you can kind of survive there, you can survive anywhere, right? Because you know, we're working on very, very narrow margins, high costs, you know, relatively low purchasing power. So you're basically what you're doing is you're designing buildings through Microsoft Excel, basically just to kind of make ends meet, right? So if you come out with zero, this is already, you know, fine, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here, you know, you're not just selling to local people who, you know, basically don't have any money. You're selling to the world, right? Because your target audience is, you know, global investors, small, big, whatever. You have a endless amount of basically, you know, potential buyers, and meaning you can target different kind of audiences. You can target, you know, the super high end, the medium kind of level, or even economy, you know. So you know, in our regions, if you over invest into a project, you're gonna and come out at a loss. Here, the more you put in, the more you can
Yeah,
charge.
because also there in Europe, I don't know in Estonia, but for example, France, the regulation is more and more restrictive.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of a norm of construction, ecological, which is good in certain point for energy, but the cost is more and more higher. You know.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah,
And
so
but
it's challenging for developers there. Bali obviously has some regulation as well, but the norm also for the developers are in terms of regulation are a bit less than what you can.
yeah, they give the developer flexibility. Like if you want to do, like, you know, proper construction quality, proper you know, energy efficiencies, all that stuff, you can, but you're not required to, you know. So it gives it's basically your own free choice how you want to develop. But yeah, the point still is that you can do nice things here. You can design awesome things.
Yeah.
And we cannot
Yeah,
do that
and the
in our
weather
place.
also give you the opportunity to develop nice things. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a villa. I mean, I'm looking at the moment also of myself for building a new villa, etc. But you can have an open kitchen outside.
Yeah.
The weather allow you to design what you have in mind. You know, you're in Estonia and France. You have to think about the winter. How are you going to design to be protected from the cold? To have the wall that is thick enough or good to. I mean, with the humidity, with the rain, with the wind, with the cold. Here, your imagination, I think, as a developer, the material that you can use is also very exciting. You can use bamboo, you can use, I don't know, concrete. I'm not a developer, but when you see different projects you like or you don't like, I mean, we talked about earlier about Nuanu, the last project. you like or you don't like, but
Mm-hmm.
the way they develop and they build, they use different material and different mix. I think it's interesting also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is true. Here you can whatever you can think of, you can build
yeah,
basically. And yeah, exactly as you said, the climate is basically same year round,
yeah,
right? So there in Estonia, even right, one thing is fighting with the cold, fighting with the humidity, fighting with the heat. But the fact that it goes so steeply, in the summer it's hot, in the winter it's super cold.
yeah,
It screws up the build quality. The
yeah,
buildings don't last because they're constantly kind of flexing from one side to another, right?
yeah, yeah,
So it's actually very bad for the buildings themselves. Here, even if you build it relatively simply, it will still stay.
yeah.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
it's much
So
better.
it's a very good point. Um, when as you're a developer, when you come to Bali, what's because it's there is the dynamic. Okay, of course, it's important to the cost of construction.
Mm.
It's important to the location, etc. But one of the points is the I think is also what's affecting your ROI is the taxation,
Yeah.
and maybe not Estonia again. I don't know, but for example, in France, when you start to develop, and even you say we are on a small margin, but also if your small margin is tax
Mm.
with a huge amount, it for the developer is also something that is affecting a lot. I think in Bali, what is well unknown, not really known, is that the taxation is not so huge compared to, okay, it's not, for example, Dubai that has very, very low taxation,
Mm.
but compared to Europe, I think Indonesia is helping people also to come and to invest and to provide also a taxation that is quite, I think, good for people who live in the US or in Europe or in Australia, and I think it's also what is attracting people as well. Yeah,
Yeah, very true. I mean, even though the whole, tax environment in Indonesia is a bit cloudy. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of room for translation. In
yeah,
Estonia, like most of Europe, right? The tax law is like a guidebook telling
yeah,
you exactly how to do what,
yeah,
how much you pay, when you pay.
yeah,
Everything is super
yeah,
clear. Here it's kind of like, oh, you should do like this. So basically, the more people you ask, the more answers you get, right? And I actually
yeah,
spent like first 4 or 5 months trying to find someone like you, and every time I get like I got different answers.
yeah,
And the worst thing is everyone answers you with full confidence,
yeah,
having not a single clue what they're talking about.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
So it was a bit tricky, but since I started working with you, we've kind of cleared up the picture, and you are right. The government has done a proper job in kind of attracting foreign investors, because
yeah,
the taxation here is really favorable for doing business long term.
yeah,
So if you just want to get money in,
yeah,
profits and money out, it's gonna be a bit more expensive, right?
yeah.
Because the dividends are taxed, the
Of
interest is
course, yeah,
taxed.
yeah,
Everything is taxed here, and depending on the tax treaty of
yeah,
your home country, it can be quite costly.
yeah.
However, the
Y-
stuff that they have, that if you keep doing
exactly.
business here,
If
if
you
you
keep
keep your
doing
money,
business, is what I was going to say. If you, for example, if you go to find like the flat tax is 30% on your
hmm
dividend, your tax at 1/3 of your profit.
hmm
But here, indeed, if you send the money outside, it
hmm
can be taxed depending on your tax treaty. But the government, I think, is still attracting people to say, okay, if you keep going to use the money inside the country, if you
hmm
recycle the money in the economy, or if you use the money in Indonesia,
hmm
in this case, the taxation, I found it quite low. For example, if you the dividend are reinvested, you got no tax after a certain period.
hmm
So you have still tax density. Of course, it's not like paradise, fiscal paradise like in
hmm
Caribbean or things. But I think it's still favorable for a business. We see that the government now is, I think, considering Bali as a place also, not only a place with a beach club, but they are trying develop also infrastructure, to develop. So I hope, if you, as I listen, that they will use this tax to improve also the surrounding, the infrastructure to develop also project. Because if we look at Dubai, we were comparing. Dubai has very beautiful infrastructure. I think what Bali is still missing is the infrastructures. Are talking to about to build the MRT, to remove the congestion of the traffic. If you go to Jakarta a few years back, the traffic was bad, and it was a dramatic. You were trying to move, and you could go to the airport. You would need 4 or 5 hours to drive until the airport. Now you have with the MRT, you just go in 40 minutes. You go to the city center. You can go everywhere in 30 minutes. And I think Bali will reach this point. And people that are coming now, I think it's just the beginning of something that can be very huge. It's not just a place where now I think people are just coming, making a party for the weekend, but really also to live here. And the type, I think, of the development as a developer, there is different opportunity. I'm not a developer, you are. Maybe you can tell us, but as from my outside view, there is residential that's now is coming. There is, of course, there is beach club, but there is also vacation. There is also offices. There is mall. There is, I don't know, restaurants. I mean, it's a very large type of real estate development. While a few years back, you were building just an hotel or a villa, because what I see with the clients that are contacting us is always, Flo, I want to move. I want to move from Europe. The tax is too huge. I want to move from US because the tax are killing us. My business is killed by the tax. Always tax. Most of the time people are coming and say, I want to come to Bali is because I feel comfortable to live here. I feel comfortable with the tax system. So I think that the opportunities are more and more large, and if the government is taking that seriously, they can make a kind of Singapore of Southeast Asia with a good infrastructure, a good environment, where, like you mentioned, you have, I think, people from all around the world coming here, and I think we had this discussion before, and you use what I used to say in other podcasts, but because you're looking for other investment, I think near Nyani, which is a bit after Pererenan, Chemagi. But even Pererenan is all this place. Few years back, people were not talking about that, and now are living that. I remember I had a discussion a few months back. I have a good friend, and I was saying to him, yeah, let's. Why you don't live in Pererenan? It's I think it's good. It's still a good price. And he was in Berawa. I said, wow, why I would move to Pererenan? There is nothing there. It's not interesting. Everything is in Berawa. If you go out in Pererenan, there is nothing. 3 months after, or 5 months after, he was in Pererenan, he was living there, and now he doesn't want to move. When you say to him, hey, come to Berawa, I say, it's too far, I don't want to go to Berawa, So I think everything is moving and never stop at the moment, because even me, I think after COVID, we saw this huge amount of people coming, but the entry are coming more and more to Bali, and it's not stopping, Yeah. Before was Kuta, like you mentioned, and after I've been Seminyak, and after I've been Berawa, Umalas, Berawa, Berenan, and now people are looking Chemagi, Sese, and Nyani.
Yeah, I mean, history keeps repeating itself, so it's kind of a no-brainer to start looking into these areas more west, because it's for the past decades it keeps going in the same direction. I mean, everyone should understand that already by now, right?
Yeah.
So and it's going so fast, because if you look at areas like Badonan, for example, right? Every second plot is in construction.
Yeah.
It's just insane the amount of development here. However, you would think as a developer, this is like, too intense already, too much competition, etc., etc. But the thing is, tourism is what drives this economy here, what drives the housing as well, right? Because most of these things, they're bought by small investors for rent out short term, right?
Yeah.
So they're just, these houses are to accommodate the tourism. and the tourism is growing like crazy here. I think I might be mistaken with the numbers, but I think last year the average was about 500,000 tourists per month. April this year was about approximately 2 million.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
the numbers are increasing, increasing a lot, and also for us, I saw the changes in terms of demand. You know, few years back or few months back, most of people were Australian asking us to advise or investing on the property market, and what I noticed the last few months is like it depends about the month, the weeks, but between 25% and 50% sometimes it's Indian coming here. And when you see the numbers of people entering Bali, the number one, of course, is always Australian because it's next door. You know, I mean, in Australia, you want to go vacation from Perth, the first place you go is
it's
Bali.
simple and easy
Yeah,
for them, right?
yeah. Otherwise, you have to fly 8 hours to even to go to Fiji or to go to Thailand. It's already 6 hours or even 7 hours. So we see that Chinese are number two, number three, sorry, but Indian are number two now, and even our clients now are a lot of Indians starting to look for properties. Few years back, or even month back, they were looking more for restaurants. Okay, I want to open a restaurant. I want to make a travel agency. But now they're looking to invest in properties as well. Okay, not the same location sometimes as other nationality, for example, but I see more and more people from India. So the tourism is changing also as well. And even if you develop, it's important, I think, when you develop is who is my target market, which people I'm targeting. And
Yeah, that depends on the area as well,
Yeah.
because I don't know, it's strange somehow that certain nationalities always choose certain areas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Singaporeans tend to stay in Seminyak, yeah.
Yeah.
Australians tend to stay in Canggu, right?
Yeah.
Russians they're everywhere actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They don't really choose, but there's so many of them.
No, but it's true. If, for example, you go to Uluwatu and Ungasan and Melasti, which is a very touristic area now because it's being on. I think something like now 30% or 40% of the demand is about the south, about Uluwatu. You say it's going north, but what I notice is that it's also going south. After after it's difficult. They cannot go more south because after it's the sea. But I have more Bingi and Melasti, Uluwatu, and it's full of people from Spain and Brazil, and
Really?
yeah, it's very very interesting. And even us, I was thinking about having people speaking Spanish because and I was asking, why do you go there? You know, I was asking because it was curious for me, also as a business owner, to understand why people are going there. And say, because we have a community on WhatsApp, we have groups in Spanish, and when people are speaking where to go, they say, "Hey, go to Uluwatu, go to South Brazil," because they are surfer country, and also
right. Well, in that
people-
sense, you're right, because Uluwatu it doesn't really kind of follow the rest of the kind of logic of development on the island, because it's one of the global hotspots of surfers, right?
Yeah.
So this lives on its own a bit.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be a reason to go there, to live there, because it's the place with the best beaches of Bali,
of course.
best waves. If you're into that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
If you have family, you can you let your kids swimming because you have the reef. If you go to Canggu and with the sea, sometimes it can be rough. So
Yeah.
it's a very very also good place, I think, to look for investment because it's very very beautiful. The challenge is of course the infrastructure, the water a bit there, but I know the government has some project at the moment to bring. So everything is also, as a developer, we need the support, I think, of the government to help also this development, because if you develop, you don't have the electricity, you don't have the road, or you don't have the water. Of course, it's challenging, but it's easy here. You want to build electricity somewhere. It's not like complicated like you have to do it in France where you have to ask so many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, that is true. But developers cannot work on them by themselves.
yeah,
You know, we need the government support with the infrastructure, because otherwise it's just gonna kill the projects if
yeah,
we're gonna have to do everything, ourselves. Uh, that's why the taxes and that sort of stuff are actually good,
yeah,
because it enables the developers to realize their projects with a smaller cost,
yeah,
while still it keeps, it boosts the economy in
yeah,
general. So it's something that is a bit, behind in Bali.
yeah,
So you were comparing with Dubai and Singapore.
yeah,
These places were kind of knowingly developed, planned,
yeah,
right? Singapore was actually designed before it even started developing.
yeah,
It was designed, I think, for 9 million people, and right now there's 5.5, right, or 6 million people living there. So it was planned ahead,
yeah.
right? This place is kind of, trying to catch up.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's sometimes chaotic,
oh yeah.
but it's organized in the chaos. You know.
That's the weird thing. Like, for example, take the traffic, right?
Yeah.
The roads are so narrow; it's
Yeah.
always congested, especially in Canggu area.
Yeah.
And but and the bikes are going like crazy. You cannot understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
But it sort of
But you don't have
flows.
accidents.
You don't have accident, first of all, and the traffic flows. It's actually, it only gets kind of really jammed when the police think they come in and help with the traffic. That's when that's when it's messed up.
This is always what I'm asking myself. Is it chaos because they come and they make a chaos? Or is it because it was a chaos and they came to help?
I'm pretty sure
and
it's
this
the
I don't
first
know.
option. I'm pretty sure it's the first
So,
option.
so
Yeah.
I always ask myself,
Yeah.
especially in the shortcut, you never know. Yeah. So, but yeah, we need, of course, to have the government and the vision. I think the government is working now, planning different things. Like in Sanur, also there is development on medical tourism. They have developed Serangan. I think in Sabanan they are supporting like project near Nyani, Nuanu, all these projects. So they're working on it. You have the MRT, LRT for people, or metro. I don't know how you call it in your language. There's many ways to call it subway, but it will not be a subway, but upway, let's
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
So I think government has conscience that if they want to do that, I mean to continue to attract investment, they need to improve this infrastructure. But I go back to the point as a developer. You mentioned, yeah, it's very touristic area, etc. But me, what I really notice on the day to day is people who are buying here, like I mentioned before, they try to relocate,
yeah.
and they try also um, to to bring families here, and to bring to live probably 6 months sometimes, and going back 6 months to their home country. So I think the type also of infrastructure, even as a developer, type of project that can be built, um, can be different, and be different from um, the targets
Mm-hmm.
that you have. I will be honest also. I mean, you're a developer, you have beautiful project where we can talk about your project, your current project after, but I think you don't target the same people depending where you're located. I have clients sometimes they're coming to me and say, "Hey, what do you think I'm buying in Tumbak Bayu, or I'm building after Canggu, Jalan Raya Canggu,
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I don't think this is a place for tourists. Okay,
No, yeah,
I,
true.
I don't think when you come vacation you want to be 40 minutes from the beaches, and I mean, if you're in Uluwatu, you're on the hill, you have a sea view, and you are maximum 15 minutes from the beaches. When you're in Tombak Bayu or this place where some developers try to sell to tourists, I don't believe this is something, yeah, or on you can make on Airbnb and people will be happy after a while, because if they say the traffic is huge to go to the beaches, this is not good location. I think Bali is changing, and you can, as a developer, have different opportunities. But Tumbagbayu is good for residential. It's good for people who wants to,
Beautiful there, yeah.
you know, it's a beautiful area. You can build a restaurant, you can build a school, a gym center, or whatever. But it's not the same target. And when I have clients comes to me and say, "Hey, I'm going to buy there," sometimes a bit hesitated. So I'm not doing it on the negative point. I'm saying that I think Bali now is attracting so much different kind of people that
Yeah.
all kind of project is interesting. But when you, as a developer, when you buy somewhere, don't rush. Sometimes say, "Oh yeah, I have a cheap price there, and I'm going to buy there and to develop." If it's cheap and nobody took it, it's probably there is a reason. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
if you're professional developer, I think you have in Nelayan. This is a perfect spot, for example, for tourists and
Yes.
investment. Yeah, maybe you can talk about this kind of
Yeah.
development you do. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
but actually, touching on the point that you made, that there being, different target audiences. There's actually a lot of people relocating here, living here, like you,
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah.
We're not from here,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Really?
there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
When did it actually start? When the Indonesian government introduced these kind of long-term kitas, simple purchasing options that we both have.
Yeah.
When was this?
Oh, there is different kind. For example, second home visa.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced like second home visa, I think 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and even now they try to with the golden visa. If you have property investment here, you
Mm-hmm.
can get even a visa for 5 years.
Mm.
You know, so they are also understand that everything is changing and that they need to attract this kind of people and give them like 5 years. I mean, few days back, there's still a client that's asking for a second home because they want to relocate here. So they have property, they have investments on Indonesian bonds, and they get 5 years visa. So
So the government is working on bringing in
Yeah,
these kind of
exactly.
expats, and that does create a second layer of market in Bali, which is actually a really good thing, because if you're only focusing on tourism, that's when the traffic gets messed up, because you're only conjecting everyone into these very specific attraction points, whether it's the beach or the nightlife or the Ubud waterfalls and rice fields or whatever, right? But since there's also this layer of long-term stay, it's expanding beyond these areas, right? So it's kind of fading the population onto a larger area, which is a really good thing, and it's creating these additional sort of attraction points. So at some point, maybe Tumbak Bay will become a tourism, place when there's infrastructure catches up and there's
Yeah.
stuff to do there,
yeah,
right?
yeah, of course, yeah.
So, but the market is vastly changing here, because back in the days, everyone said Bali is like a cheap destination, right? So this is why people were buying up villas and living large here, because you pay for one night here, you get a fancy 3-bedroom villa with a pool and everything, and you get a closet basically in Europe for the same price, right? So this is where you would indulge, right? But the prices, and this is a outdated belief, because the prices have already gone up so much here. It's not exactly a cheap destination anymore.
Of course, yeah.
It's cheaper than Europe, obviously, but it's not cheap per se.
You can always find. I mean, there is a range price that is very huge. You can go still to a Warung and pay $1 your meal, and you can go to a fancy restaurant and come out with a bill at $500 or $600.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah,
That's very easy to do here.
So the range is very 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 large.
Yeah. The gap is very huge here, and but the point is that when usually, well, before, like if you wanted to book a stay, you had a large selection of villas, all these fancy things. But now the prices have gone up so much, so that your kind of average tourists. I'm not talking about the rich ones. I'm not just talking about the average tourist. Basically, kind of people my age who would just kind of want to see the beautiful place and so on. The villas have gotten too expensive, So and this creates a new market opportunity, though, right? Because what we're doing in Nelayan, the street in Canggu that you mentioned, we are developing like smaller. I wouldn't call them affordable apartments. I mean, we're just gonna do them kind of a bit more obtainably. So you look at all these very mature markets, I don't know, Tokyo, New York, people are basically living in 9 square meters,
Yeah.
because the square meter the land price has gotten so crazy. Construction prices have gone so crazy, so it's a trend, and it will happen here. I mean, maybe not to that extent, but it's heading in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
You need to be more efficient with your room planning. You cannot do like 100 square meter living rooms anymore, because it's just going to screw up the price. No
Of
one's going to be
course,
able to pay for that.
Yeah.
So and the ultra rich is a very small sort of target market.
Yeah.
If you want to actually do business here, you need to target the biggest audience there is, right? So this is kind of what we're doing there. We're doing um, decent size apartments.
From which price you think it will start?
Are you not talking about the sales price or the
Yeah,
nightly stay?
the sales price. The
Sales price were
for example.
actually, we're not there with that
Not
yet. I
yet.
mean, we're still designing it. We
Because
haven't launched
I'm
construction.
I'm thinking about that because I see also the demand, like you mentioned. Also, I have people starting to come here and have $80,000, $90,000, and they want to have like a property and a place where to stay and to put and to get a rental income with that. And I think it's a good point. What you mentioned is also the demands of people, the mass of people looking to have like a secondary home is very large, and it can be from people with a budget of 70, 80, 100, 150 to people with 800. But obviously, the more you come up, more it become expensive. I have people, they come to me now and they say, oh, I have 100,000, 150. I want a 3 or 4 bedroom. It's not to be difficult to get that. And again, we go back on what do you want. If you have a budget of $100,000, it's very difficult to be at 5 minutes from the beach. But if you have a kind of apartment, maybe, or a kind of, I don't know, 1 or 2 closer to the beach, I think you will get more ROI that if you have a villa at 200,000 that is at 40 minutes in Tumbag, not only Tumbag Bayou, but
basically.
inside the land, and where you have to cross the taxi, and where you have to take a taxi when you go back and go into the pollution. So
I mean, it depends on what you're looking for,
Yeah.
right? Because let's take your example that let's say you have 150,000, or let's say even 100,000.
Yeah.
Now, you have and you want to be in a specific area. Either you take something really ugly, outdated, old,
Yeah.
but big fancy villa.
Yeah.
Well, used to be fancy, right? Or you scale down a bit.
Yeah.
You take a nice apartment, a new, clean, properly built, for the same price. So which one would you? Obviously you go for the smaller option because you still live well. You still have a nice place.
Yeah.
So I mean, for example, I based this project on myself, really.
Yeah.
If I had a certain amount of money, I would rather stay in a smaller place
and walking distance from the beach.
from everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I
I think this is walking distance is important, because you don't. It's what I said to a client last time. It depends on your target audience, but if you come with your family and the kids and the babies, you don't want to spend 30 minutes or 40 minutes to bring everybody in the taxi, prepare the baby, and you take the taxi, or you need 3 motorbikes to go to the beach, and etc. If you have an apartment, you're close from the beach, walking distance with your budget, it's much more comfortable and easy for you. You are walking distance from the restaurant. I mean, the Lion, for example, is a very good location. You can go walking distance everywhere from that.
Yeah,
And,
true.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing we should probably talk about as well is, since many of the people that are watching this have never maybe come across the ownership structures of Indonesia, right? Being leasehold, freehold, all that stuff. So this was new to me as well when I came here, because back in Estonia everything is freehold, right?
Of
So,
course, you're national and
so everyone wants to own their real estate, and inherit it to their children, etc. But when you look at this so here everything is leasehold for us, for foreigners. Only private local individuals can own freehold
Yeah,
land.
as individual, yeah, the only
Yeah,
option that
that's the only option,
you will
right?
face, yeah.
So and there's the timeline, right? So you buy your house for, I don't know, 25, 30 years, whatever, or your apartment, and but and in the beginning you think, okay, but this is just renting, I'm not owning anything. But if you compare with freehold, right? Let's say you buy an apartment. How long does that apartment last?
Yeah.
It still, amortizes over time, right? So even, let's say in 25 years, 50 years, whatever, the value that's going to be remaining is only the land itself,
Yeah.
right? Because the building, amortizes. It's not going to stay forever. So the value of the land, if you just deduct that from the entry price, you're basically left with a very comparable sort of product, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be scared of that. Well, I'm not scared of that anymore at all, because and let's take this. Most people that buy these apartments, these villas, they're not buying for themselves. Most are buying to rent out.
Yeah, of
So
course,
they're just
yeah.
looking to get a return. They're looking for an ROI. And if you can buy in, let's sort of say it like this, cheaper, you're getting a much better return.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
You can
I'm-
cash out quite faster,
Yeah.
And I think this is a strategy also sometimes to have. Leasehold is not. I mean, sometimes people have difficulty to understand. Okay, you don't own, so it's a lease, like you mentioned, it's a long-term rent, etc. But at the end, you get a cheaper price than if you were
Yeah.
buying on a freehold, and you can cash out quite
Much
fast,
faster,
much
yeah.
faster. So sometimes it's good. You have a 25 years lease, you catch out after 5 years, let's say, you buy again 5 years more, and you resell.
And the other
And,
thing is
and you
can
resell
always
25 years.
very often you can
Yeah.
extend, and this is
Yeah.
one thing that I've come to understand, that most people that are looking to buy real estate here don't actually understand. They think the extension means you have to pay the same price again. So let's say you have a lease of 25 years plus extension, right?
Yeah.
So for the 25 years you're paying for the land and the building to the
Yeah.
developer, right?
Yeah.
So you're paying 150,000, for example. Now, if the lease term expires and you have that option to extend, you're only paying for the land,
Yeah,
meaning
of course,
you'll
yeah.
pay like
Yeah.
5, 10, whatever,
Yeah.
15,000
Yeah, yeah.
to get the same period again.
Yeah.
So it's not the same money all over.
This is where it's important also to discuss with the developer is if you're the buyer, you need to know how much is the price, or to understand what's the price of the land of extension, because sometimes it's unclear in the contract. I mean, we talk about us, but it's unclear. Yeah, there is extension, so we need also to people to understand, and it's right what you say, that the extension is for the land. You're not buying again, but sometimes it's unclear on the contract what is the extension. So indeed, you extend only the land, and like I said, I mean, it's good strategy. You take 25 years the apartment. After 5 years, you pay the extension of the land, so you get 25 minus 5, you go back to 25, and you can resell your lease. And you have already cash out probably on the ROI, on the return, with the daily rental. So basically, you can have the capital gain by repaying, rebite a bit on the extension. It's a good strategy where you can flip also if you want to, after, use this money to reinvest on another project, for example. So
you could just extend for pennies.
but
really.
don't wait. This is also what is important, is don't wait for me too much before the extension, because if you have the possibility to do it once you have already get your money back after 3-5 years, you have the possibility to extend. Don't wait the price increase too much. Don't say, okay, I will wait in 20 years if I can re-extend or not, because you will have to pay 20 years again,
It depends, man. It's because smart investors are always looking at the internal rate of return,
Yeah.
right? So the sooner you put the capital in, the lower your rate.
Yeah, but if you resell, if you want
If
to
you-
resell,
yeah, if you resell, yeah.
if your way is, I want to resell after, okay, I make, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000 per month on my property. I have already in 3 years, I don't know, 150 to 100K that is back, I can just pay a bit to the extension. I resell. I got my money back.
Yeah.
So I double my investment.
And the
You
buyer
know?
still gets the same timeline.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. And the buyer is getting the same time because you buy, let's say, a villa 150. I don't know, and you make 5,000. In 5 years, you're 200. You're the refund, plus you get the money of the sell behind. So you double your investments. Don't wait. So I mean, there is many strategy to have. Depending of what you look now, if you're looking just to sit on the money and things, but you can flip. I mean, there is many things you can do here that are interesting. So don't think that the leasehold is, oh, sometimes I'm stuck with the leasehold, or it's just in 25 years I have nothing. Like you mentioned, you can extend, but you can even probably extend before and negotiate with the seller, etc. So
yeah, it depends on how the extension terms are written in the initial or the original leasehold agreement, right? So the thing is, it does sound a bit complicated in the beginning and might scare people off, but if you actually familiarize yourself with how this works, this creates a lot of opportunities. I mean, that's, you're looking at returns you will never ever see in any place in Europe, right? And people are starting to understand, realize this is what is boosting the economy here. I mean, the real estate, market.
Yeah, but not only in Bali. This is also what I was. I think I asked you before. You're looking also from other place to investment. You don't have to tell us exactly which one, because everything is also a different project and still ongoing. But I think Indonesia is also more than Bali in terms of opportunities of investments for people who are looking to develop. At the moment, we're looking about, people are talking about Sumba, Lombok, Flores. I hear more and more about Flores as well. Government is trying to make Flores as I didn't really get it, but as the Christian tourism development, etc. So I think as a Bali is great and is coming to mature, not yet, but place that is going, and there is also other places where you can now buy hectares for a very very good price and on the beach side. So if you're a developer, if you're looking, I think it's also a good playground, where you can look at different opportunities. Yeah.
No, very true. I mean, Bali has done a great job in introducing Indonesia to the world in that sense, right? And more and more people, who maybe been here before in Bali, I mean, and they're now exploring other places. And because Indonesia is a beautiful, beautiful place. There's so much to see, to do. It's not only Bali that's beautiful. The I don't know what's the number of islands in total?
17,000 islands
17,000
at low tide and 14,000 at high tide.
Right. So I mean, and yeah, that is true, and it's kind of expanding. I think like Bali is still considered to be the center of tourism, but it's expanding further and further away. Because there's these new kind of tourism hotspots popping up all over the place. Like what's the Labuan Bajo?
Labuan Bajo, yeah.
Another really good example. Just popped up in a few years.
Oh my God, I was in Labuan Bajo last year, I think. Yeah, it's a while, but I haven't been there before last year for 2-3 years. And when I arrived there, it was like, wow, it's different because they were developing the new harbor, marina, and it's beautiful. Before was very dust city. There was a dust everywhere, and now it's clean. It's you have a sidewalk when you can walk on pedestrian way, and I think, again, we go back to infrastructure. And when you have good infrastructure, you bring more and more people and investment. Canggu, I mean, we can say what we want, but Canggu, for example, you can walk. You have sidewalk in Canggu area. The difficulty, again, we go back to, if I'm on the inside, I have to pass all the traffic, etc. But once you're in Canggu, actually, the traffic is not so bad. I mean, the Nelayan Street, you don't have where the project is not use traffic. So when
this
the
is kind of the only place where people actually walk on the streets.
Exactly. Yeah. And Labuan Bajo, there you can walk. I mean, you have a very beautiful infrastructure. You can go. You have the marina is well developed. and we see that. I mean, there was a Asia G20 or something that was there. Also, this is what's bring also the infrastructure. But again, we go back. The government is very important. I think to serve to develop business is to also uh, put something in terms of infrastructure to bring people, and this is how also cost also of construction and cost of development also go down for a developer, because I mean, if you have to bring all the material and it takes 6 hours with the driver to bring you the material for the construction, obviously the cost of construction is increased. But now, if you have a nice airport, you can bring a nice airport, you can bring a huge boat with a lot of material inside, and the truck can go easily from a point to another point. Obviously, the cost is going to reduce, and I think this is what's happening with east of Indonesia now. Flores, for example, or Sumbawa. A lot of people are looking in Sumbawa as well. Sumba. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean the infrastructure is very important, and not only for tourism, right? So far, we've only been discussing tourism,
yeah,
sort of, and the market that surrounds it. But Indonesia is the what is the fourth biggest population in the world,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
There's still a lot of unused land here, which is perhaps one of the reasons why a lot of these Chinese manufacturers are bringing their factories from China
yeah,
to Indonesia now,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there's so most of these kind of logistic manufacturing industrial centers are all in Java, because obviously you got the highways, you got the harbors, the airports, everything. But they're all relocating there, and the amount of potential business us as developers could do there is just ridiculous. You start from either land trading or building hotels into these
Yeah.
industrial centers, or you can just let your
I don't know
imagination run wild.
I don't know if you were the same generation, but we had this kind of. I like this example. Your SimCity. I don't know. It was a game.
Yeah,
It was a game where you had to build your city, and
yeah,
when you were building the city, you were starting to build a farm, and after you were building a school, and after you were building a road and things, and you can see that everything come out slowly, slowly. But like you mentioned, if you go to Java now, I'll talk about the MRT, but the other time I went to Bandung. I mean, we had to talk about that. The road is nice now. It's fast. You have the fast train. If you are the CEO of a company, you land in Jakarta. You need to visit your factory. The trucks can go fast between Jakarta and Bandung or to the harbor. This is important. This is important, and it's a lot of opportunity, development opportunity for developers as well. You can go from Surabaya. It's faster to go from Surabaya to Jakarta, which is way longer in terms of kilometers than Surabaya to Bali, because they have a very beautiful toll road. You can drive fast, and after once you arrive from Surabaya to Bali, you have to small road. You have trucks everywhere. It takes time, but if you have a good infrastructure like that, you bring more factories. You bring more. I don't know, construction, hotels and things. And indeed, Indonesia for me is not only tourism, or like I mentioned, it's not only villas, mall, clinics. Yeah, more and more people in medical tourism coming here in Bali, just coming 1 week. For example, let's take medical tourism. Before, okay, you come here, you want to visit a beautiful temple, you want to be a beautiful, I don't know, like a waterfall. But now, let's say with the hospital in Sanur, you have Sanur, and people needs to come to the clinic, and you need to have a hotel behind. And if you have an hotel behind of people going to the clinic, you have a restaurant. And if you have a restaurant, you have, I don't know, you have a cafe, and you have a laundry, and you have a. This is how things develop. How things develop. And Marina, that's trying also, I think, to make in Serangan is exactly that. And Indonesia has a lot of places like that. To if you have a factory, mentioned, you have a hotel, hotel behind, you have an administration, you have a
store, cafes, all these
exactly,
services the
yeah,
people that are staying there would need. Yeah.
yeah,
So wherever the people are, these things tend to follow. And And since the country is developing rapidly,
Yeah.
all these new centers will start popping up. So yeah, I mean, Bali, as I said, like, is an easy way to get into the market
Yeah.
for me, for other developers. Well, it doesn't matter actually what business you're in, but it's, since this is like an international community, this is where you get, you know, this is your gateway
Yeah.
into Indonesia. But it would be stupid to stay stuck
Yeah.
there, because the country is so vast. There's so many opportunities, and I think, yeah, you should really kind of
And it's a
expand
good
your
point. You
horizon.
say it's international and it's easy to connect.
Mm.
Very, very easy to connect with people. When you arrive here, you can enter quite quickly meeting people,
Yeah.
and this is important, especially in Indonesia, when you want to develop to connection and relationship with people around, compared to sometimes. Well, Estonia, I don't know. It's a small country, so maybe everybody know everybody. But in France, sometimes the connection is very difficult because you just connect with people from the same school
Mhm.
or from the same social class, I would say.
Mhm.
Once you arrive here, you have so much events, so much community, so much people who introduce to other people. And in terms of business and developer, I think this is also where you can fast grow fast.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Bali is not a closed community, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to, set up shop in, well, most places in the world, it's already kind of developed network of
Yeah.
people, right? In Bali, people come, they go, they come, they go, and most people doing business here are actually not from here, right?
Yeah.
So only in Bali right now, right? So they all come here. They all want to kind of, meet new people, develop their infrastructure, develop their network. So they're all looking for good contacts to have, right?
Yeah.
To meet new people. So it's very easy to get started. I would say the easiest probably of any place, really.
So come to Bali, come to invest, look for different opportunities. If people wants to find your project or things, is there any website or coming? Avalon, they have to go to Avalon.
Well, right now, yeah. I mean, since we're still designing
Yeah.
the LM project, we don't really have any marketing information ready yet.
Yeah.
But we are doing it under the same kind of umbrella of Avalon, which
Okay.
they can already have a look at. So you
Okay.
go to avalon.ee, and you'll see all the stuff we've been doing in Europe.
Yeah.
So maybe that will kind of give some idea of
Of the
what's to come.
quality of the
Yeah, and we come
work.
from
Yeah.
Estonia. Estonia follows Finnish construction regulations, which are the most strict of all in the world, of all the
Okay.
world, right? So
So you apply the same here, and I know that
and
you.
if we can do
yeah.
50% of what we're
Yeah.
required to do there, we're going to be the top one construction quality here. So
I'm sure you will be. Yeah.
we aspire
Okay.
to, yeah.
But thank you very much for coming today and having this discussion. And
Thank you.
it was a pleasure. And but we talk for our next podcast soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.